Hi, my name is Danica, and today I wanted to talk about podcasts. So obviously I usually talk about books on this channel, but I've been kind of thinking about opening that up a little bit and talking about some of the other things I'm interested in. So I thought I would start by talking about one of my favorite non-bookish things, and that's podcasts. I love listening to audiobooks, but I always feel a little bit divided about whether I want to listen to an audiobook or a podcast, because I feel like an audiobook is more productive, I get to get more reading time in, but there's so many different podcasts out there that are also really interesting, and there's a little bit less pressure to feel like I have to be really remembering and understanding everything that's going on the way I feel like I have to with an audiobook. So unsurprisingly, one of my favorite podcasts is the Book Riot podcast. I used to listen to a lot of the different Book Riot podcasts, but I found that a lot of the other ones are so much about individual recommendations that it didn't really work for me, because I listen to the podcast usually on my walk to and from work or when I'm doing things, and I don't have time to write down the titles that I'm interested in. So I end up just listening to it trying to remember that one title, and it kind of takes away from the experience for me. But I really like the original Book Riot podcast where they just talk about the latest book news. It's super entertaining, and I like feeling like I am being up to date on what's happening in the book world. The other way that I listen to podcasts is with my partner Ron. We will often listen to a podcast before bed, and one of our favorites was Lore. It's still one of our favorites, but we were binge listening to it for a while and we're caught up now, so we have to wait till new ones come out. And Lore is basically exactly what it sounds like. It talks about different folklore from around the world, and a lot of it is about monsters and other creepy stuff. Ron really likes listening to horror type podcasts. Some of it though is historical, some of it's kind of old true crime stories. So that has been one of our most successful shows that we've both been really interested in. Another one that we both loved was Alice Isn't Dead, and that's a podcast that I believe is in 10 parts, and I believe they are doing a second season for it, but it hasn't come out yet. This is from the same people as Welcome to Night Vale. Jessica Nicole is the one who narrates it, and it is so amazing. Basically, as soon as I heard this is the Welcome to Night Vale people, and it's about a woman who is a trucker going across the country looking for her wife, like I had to listen to this, and it's even better than it sounded. It is creepy and interesting, and just the way the story is told is really well done. It gets super intense, and I love that surrealist feel it has, so I'm really hoping there's going to be more soon, because that's one of my favorite podcasts ever. Which means I should really talk about Welcome to Night Vale, because I also love Welcome to Night Vale, but unfortunately what happened with it is that I loved it so much and was listening to it as it came out, and then I told Ron that we should listen to it together, and then we have been a little bit, but we've been also listening to these other podcasts, so I've fallen way behind on Welcome to Night Vale, and I don't even know where I am in it anymore. But if you somehow haven't heard of Welcome to Night Vale, you should definitely check it out. I don't even know how to describe it. It's about a radio host of just, you know, a small town radio station, except everything is really weird and surreal. It's one of the few pieces of media that I can consume and just know that I am going to really enjoy it, and also not just get like surprised, slapped in the face by like an offensive joke or something. It's funny, it's smart, it has great storytelling, and it's diverse and interesting and political, and just, it's all the good things. One of the other sort of horror creepy podcasts we're listening to is Tanis. Again, we listen to all these weird surreal podcasts that are hard to explain. Basically, the story around Tanis is that it's kind of NPR style, and Nick, the guy who is running it, is trying to figure out what Tanis is. It's this kind of historical mystery where maybe it's a person, maybe it's a place, maybe it's just a force of nature in some way, but it is something that is very powerful and has traveled throughout the world at different times. And the best part about Tanis is that he tries to get someone to help him with the deep web aspect of trying to find all of this hidden information about Tanis. And the hacker woman that he teams up with is so snarky and rude and awesome, and she's my favorite. So I really loved the first season of Tanis because the ending was really satisfying, and then then they have a second season, and all the threads just keep unraveling. And I've sort of lost interest at this point because I can't even keep track of all of the names. They're going in so many different directions with it. So I might go back to it eventually, but the first season at least is solid, and I highly recommend it. And one podcast that we tried listening to that we kind of jumped ship on and are now returning to again is The Black Tapes. All of these, by the way, except Book Riot and Lore, have been fictional, in case that wasn't clear. But The Black Tapes is another NPR style one with some of the same people as Tanis, and it basically becomes about this guy who is a professional skeptic. He is all about debunking the paranormal, and he is offering a $1 million reward to anyone who can prove that they can do something paranormal, that they've experienced something paranormal. So he gets all of these cases and then he debunks them, but he also has this kind of secret stash of what they call the black tapes, which he keeps in black VHS tape containers that are the unsolved cases. So The Black Tapes is about these different cases, and we were really enjoying it at first, and then it stopped being kind of episodic and it started really being about him as a character, which was interesting, but basically it became more and more about demons and demonology, and I was expecting, like Lore, for it to explore a whole bunch of different paranormal things, so I got a little bit annoyed that it was focusing on just one thing. So we stopped listening to it for a while, but now we've gone back and I'm trying to really think about it in terms of what it is and not what I thought it would be. And so far I'm really enjoying it. Again, I think that it was just my expectations that were the problem there. But basically what happened between jumping off listening to Black Tapes and coming back to it is that we experimented by listening to a lot of different horror and creepy podcasts, and so many of the ones we listened to were so bad that I realized that I was being too harsh in my judgment of The Black Tapes and that I should appreciate it for how good it is. Side note, the No Sleep podcast that everyone always recommends, I swear it's a conspiracy because we tried listening to like 6 of them and they were so bad. Sometimes like funny bad, and sometimes just offensively bad, which was when we just stopped listening to them altogether. And these were like ones people had recommended, like try listening to these ones because they're the best ones. And there's one story that gets told over a bunch of these podcasts that's supposed to be just the best part of the No Sleep podcast. And I got the book version and I read it, and it was not that good. So if that's the best, then I don't understand why people recommend this. Maybe the new ones are different? So many bad experiences listening to the ones I did that I don't think I'll try it again. One that we did find, though, when we were experimenting with different horror podcasts was Limetown. And this is another one that's done documentary style, and it's about Limetown and how all of its residents disappeared overnight mysteriously many years ago, and it's about this woman trying to find out what happened. It reminded me a little bit of Black Tapes and of Alice Isn't Dead, but the best part about it, like the mystery was done really well. I was super into the story and it gets really intense, way more intense than I was expecting. But the best part is that the narrator is just incredibly badass. She's starting this, what seems like a fairly innocent thing, trying to do this documentary over a podcast, and then people try to violently shut it down, and she just cannot be threatened. She has no fear. So that one I really liked, but it is pretty short, so we finished it really quickly. And those are some of my favorite podcasts. I have just started listening to Buffering the Vampire Slayer and Witch Please, which are both kind of fan commentary podcasts, but I think that's all of the podcasts that I have listened to more than one episode of. Let me know what your favorites are because I would love to get into more of them, and thank you for watching.